CNN tried to embarrass black Trump voters on live television. They brought in 3 former Biden supporters who voted for Trump in 2024, hoping to showcase Trump voter remorse. But what they got instead was a complete disaster for their narrative. These voters' responses left CNN's Van Jones scrambling for answers. And what you'll soon discover is how these authentic voices that we're going to play for you expose the disconnect between cable news media talking points and the real concerns of everyday Americans. CNN thought they were setting a trap, but these voters flipped the script entirely. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. So, CNN just tried something that backfired so spectacularly. It's almost like watching someone step on a rake in slow motion. They brought in 3 black Trump voters, obviously expecting them to express regret for their choice. Because in this fantasy world of cable news, no minority could possibly support Donald Trump unless they've been tricked or are experiencing deep, profound regret. You see, in my world, they call that racism, to believe that a people in a particular group based on race all behave in the same way. It doesn't matter that Van Jones is black. He thinks the same way as well. The establishment media has been pushing the narrative of Trump voter remorse since day one after the election on November 5th. They're desperate to convince you that everyone who voted for Trump is secretly wishing they hadn't. As if millions of Americans are sitting at home right now wringing their hands over their terrible mistake. The truth is far more inconvenient for them. Now, these 3 voters all voted for Biden in 2020 before switching to Trump. Just think about that for a second. The very people CNN brought on to demonstrate buyer's remorse actually experienced remorse for voting for Biden and not Trump. You can almost see the panic in Van Jones' eyes as this segment crumbles around him. Give it a watch.
And here we are in South Carolina with 3 Trump voters. You weren't always a Republican.
No, actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. But 2020, you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone. Her name is Candace Owens. And I read her book. And it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
You mean that the man in front of you lied about who he was?
So you voted against Trump in 2016.
Yes.
But then in 2020, you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.
What are some things that he's doing that you do like?
For me, I like the border. I just don't like the idea of someone coming here illegally and getting benefits that can serve my community. So that's the reason why I support him on that border policy.
When you think about the border, you think about people coming here who are getting more help than people who live here and who were born here.
Yeah. And
even there, Van Jones was trying to push a narrative. Okay, well, it's because they're getting your resources instead. I mean, the guy sounds very articulate. He's making his argument, okay? I think it's because he doesn't believe that illegals should be able to come into the country and stay here for political reasons.
I got that perspective not from news channels. I got it from social.
He just said not from news channels, and he's being interviewed on a news channel. Well,
media, TikTok is like a holy grail. We even see it with the things that we learn about the United States government.
See, he just told Van Jones to his face that we, the younger people, young voters, we don't get our news from guys like you anymore. We go to social media to get the news from now on.
Outside of the United States, people are showing Americans, hey, look at what's going on. Do y'all know that your government is doing this? Have you seen this? Have you looked at it from this perspective? I care more about how I'm going to take care of my children.
I don't think the average American cares about that. I know I am sick and tired of seeing black people sit there and complain about something, but not taking action, a step.
See the look on Van's face?
To actually try to change things in an appropriate manner.
Under the Trump and Biden administration, they came to certain agreements with police departments to be less brutal toward the black community. Trump has now ended all that. How does that help the black community?
I have a lot of issues with police reform and just with how police officers are treated as a whole.
You see the look on his face? He thought he was going to go for, well, all black people don't like cops because they harass the hell out. Look at the look on his face when she said, that she doesn't like what has been done by this guy's party to police. It gets better, guys.
Husband is currently going through the process to become a police officer.
Her husband's going to become a police officer right now.
The amount of hatred that cops get, even the best ones, I think has become a huge problem because it has been, especially around election times, when it definitely comes out of like, oh no, the cops are bad. The cops hate you because you're black.
I mean, guys, they couldn't have picked 3 of the worst candidates to talk to push their false narrative. CNN done screwed up big.
They're immediately deemed as evil.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Mm-hmm. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or a diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next one.
She said yes.
Here we go.
It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely
Love it.
yes.
And that is the embarrassed laugh that you see right there on Van Jones' face. What CNN doesn't understand or refuses to understand is that Americans are tired of being lied to. They're tired of performative politics that ignores their real concerns. You see, there are 2 kinds of truth. There is objective truth and there is performative truth. Objective truth is truth that can be proven based on some other truth that has already been validated. For example, it is cold outside is objective truth because the thermostat says it's 23 degrees. But that's not the type of truth that CNN and MSNBC and all the other loser networks use. They use the same type of truth that Democrats use, which is performative truth. Performative truth is your statement is true simply because you said it. Donald Trump is like Hitler. There's absolutely no evidence showing that Donald Trump is in fact like Hitler. But because the person said it, that's what makes it true. You see how that works? Their words are their own validation for something they just made up. Another one would be, there was no evidence that there was any election fraud in the 2020 election. Now, we know that that's not true. We know that there is plenty of evidence about election fraud during the 2020 election. You can just go to here'stheevidence.com and you'll spend the next 8 days there reading it. Another performative truth is that black people are regretting their vote for Donald Trump because CNN said it. That is what makes it true. That's how it works. Unfortunately for CNN, specifically Van Jones, is that he had a 33% chance 3 times to make that narrative true. And he failed all 3 times with his 3 guests. This just goes to show how out of touch with their own former voters CNN has become. And CNN is not as bad as the conspiracy network MSNBC. The desperation to make this segment work for their narrative was palpable. But reality had other plans. Parts of the video that I had to edit out for time reasons, where they gave their reasons why they liked Trump. And the guy among the group of the 3 said that he liked him because he was a part of the anatomy that you never see. And he said that he likes that about Trump because there's authenticity with it. In other words, they said that they thought for themselves rather than listen to the mob, the woke mob. They got out of tribalism and took the extra steps to learn more about the candidate. They said they liked Trump the way he talks. And one said she knows the way he likes to troll people, and she really likes that. He's a real guy like us, in other words. So that right there is why so many Americans connect with Trump. Not because they think he's perfect. He's not perfect by any chance. But because he doesn't pretend to be. In a world where politicians spend their entire careers calculating every word that comes out of their mouth, Trump's unfiltered approach feels like a breath of fresh air to many voters. Van Jones did his best to get them to say something bad about Trump, but he failed miserably. He even went down Race Boulevard and came to a dead end there as well. This is the fundamental disconnect between the Democratic Party's approach and the priorities of many black voters. While Democratic strategists and media figures obsess over symbolic gestures and historical grievances, many black Americans are focused on the same thing that all Americans care about: economic opportunity and providing for their families. It's that simple. You could almost hear CNN executives screaming in the control room. This was supposed to be a segment about Trump voter remorse, and instead it became a ringing endorsement from three articulate, independent-minded black Americans. What this segment revealed, perhaps unintentionally, is that the Democratic Party and their media allies have taken black voters for granted for far too long. They assume that any black American who supports Trump must either be misinformed or acting against their own interests. They can't fathom the possibility that black voters, like all Americans, have diverse political views and priorities. The reality is that many black Americans are concerned about the same issues as any other voter: the economy, border security, law and order, and providing opportunities for their kids. They don't want to be reduced to a monolithic voting bloc or used as props in political theater. That's so insulting. CNN's failed attempt to showcase Trump voter remorse is emblematic of a larger problem in American politics: the assumption that demographics determine political allegiance. The three guests on this panel demonstrated that Americans are much more complex than the boxes that media outlets try to put them in. This CNN segment wasn't just a failure, it was a glimpse into the future of American politics, where traditional identity-based assumptions are crumbling, and voters are making choices based on policies and results rather than party loyalty. God, that's the way it's supposed to be. God love them. For CNN and other media outlets that have built their business models on predictable voting patterns, this should be a wake-up call. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Your mama forgot, I know it hurt.